Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I'm your host, Jason Shea. Today, we have Steve, the creator of SRG Universe, Super Show the Games, and a whole bunch of other very fun and very addictive family games and card games over the years. And he has been doing this over the last 10 years. He has been independently published, self-distribute, and really expand his brand into a powerhouse that's being beloved by his fans nationwide. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Steven.
Jason, thank you. It is really my pleasure to join you. And I appreciate, all the nice things you just said in that opening. It is true. Myself and Mr. John Calais, we started this company over a decade ago. Our flagship product is called Super Show the Game. It is the #1 rated wrestling card game of all time, according to 10 years of Board Game Geek. So we're very proud of that. And this started off with characters that we had designed and created and built our own storylines about. And over the past decade, we have about 1,000 playable characters that include characters that our creative team has created, that our community members have made after themselves and their family members. We've licensed product to different wrestling companies, to independent wrestlers. We've licensed product with creators like Eddie Mort, who was the original creator of Super Lucha. And it's really been a dream come true over the past 10 years. And not only do we have an awesome product, but we have a fan base and a community that's really helped us thrive over the past 10 years.
I see. Yeah. Let's go back to 10 years ago. What is the story behind the inception of the company before you get into this industry altogether?
So when I was younger, I played this game called WWE Raw Deal. It was produced by Comic Images. The original creators was a gentleman by the name of Michael Foley and Baron Vangertoth. Baron would go on to be one of my idols and heroes in life, and I got to spend a good amount of time with him. As a kid, it was my favorite thing. We would go to the local card store. It was called Video Game Central. We would open up packs of Raw Deal, and I really didn't know what that game would do for me. For a friendship level, I traveled around the United States for different places to go to tournaments. On a competitive level, we ended up getting very good at this game. There was a championship event where my brother and I made the finals, and the winner got a trip to WrestleMania. And my brother was really awesome, and he let me win that event. So as a young kid, I was able to fly to WrestleMania and play this game I loved. I mean, it was really incredible. As I mentioned, Baron would become one of my idols. I always credit him for my love for reading books. One day I met him on a flight home from WrestleMania, and he was reading a book called The Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. And just to connect with him, I went home and read this book, and it was the first book that I ever read on my own. And that really sparked my love for reading, which I think really set me on a great course. Because once I got into books, I did much better in school and college and stuff. I really attribute a lot of my success for the brief times I got to spend with Baron and on Raw Deal. So fast forward, we did really well in Raw Deal. Baron used to call me the best deck builder of all time as a young kid, and that was like the ultimate compliment for me. So I did develop a pretty cool reputation through that game. And in later years, I had some friends approach me about helping them develop a game based off mixed martial arts. I had written up the rules for this game after we had taking another game. It was called NFL Tops Attacks. That was $1 a pack. It was for sale in Target, and it was not a great game by any means, but I rewrote the rules for their own game and started running local tournaments. And it got really popular in my area. And we were selling out stores of this game that did terrible to play my version of the game. So
I see.
we had the idea to make our own game. We felt like we had all the components. We reached out to Topps and we pitched them this MMA game, and they did not want to work on a mixed martial arts game. And as a person who's not really a fan of mixed martial arts as a sport, it's not for me to watch. I prefer the fake fighting. as entertainment than watching two people actually fight. They pitched to us, would you prefer to do a wrestling game? And as a lifelong wrestling fan, I was ecstatic. I was also a little bit torn because, as I mentioned, Baron, who ended up passing away, was one of my idols, still is. I didn't want to replace Raw Deal. And the team that I was working with did not want to do a wrestling game. And I said, this is a really great opportunity. I don't want to pass it up. I had initially brought in Super Show with a similar mechanic as a board game. And I met the reps. I showed them the board game. They happened to really like the mechanics. They happened to really like me. And they mentioned something to me that kind of really changed the course of development for me. They wanted a traditional game because of the trading card game models were so successful. So they'd rather have something where people could buy packs and open and collect than something that was a one-shot buy. So then I really thought about it, because when you love a game as much as I do, you don't want to, replace something that was such a big part of your life. But I really came to terms with it. This was a great opportunity for me. Raw Deal had ran its course. It probably was not coming back in the capacity we're familiar with. So I would work on the creating of a trading card game. So I showed them Super Show. It was almost identical to what it is today. And they seemed to love it. They promised and promised and promised me all these wonderful things that never sort of panned out. And eventually I said, you know what? I'm going to have an artist create my own version of these cards rather than waiting for branding. And at the time, I probably had a few $100s saved up. And I worked with an artist that I still work with today. And I only had enough money to do about 30 images, right? So what I told myself was, what if I took this trading card game idea, and as somebody who is a pretty good deck builder, said, out of all the cards I wanted to create for a trading card game, what would I play for a deck that was good for anyone? And then how if that was where you started, right? So for me, I kind of wanted to do things backwards. I wanted the cards you start with to be the most optimized experience. And the cards that you could collect down the line would be different, but not necessarily better, right? And I felt like this was a very friendly
different
model.
than other TCG. Usually you start with a worst card to start a deck.
Exactly. And like to this day, our starter decks are very, very good. I mean, over 10 years, there are some different things that work better, but every once in a while, I make sure we use our starter decks and show like, hey, this is still really great in a tournament aspect. So we did that and we created Super Show as a game. And then what I had done when I was testing the game is, so I didn't lose the cards. I numbered them 1 through 30. So you knew where the starter deck was. And that actually gave me the idea of, in the future, using the card number as a slot for the cards. So basically in the next release, if I release a different number 1, you now would have 2 card choices at card number 1, instead of just being able to play whatever 30 cards you wanted. And I love that idea, because as a designer who wanted to cater towards the players and not the designs that are specifically done by trading card games, where like there's power creep and the cards just get better and better until you need to rotation or the game is no longer playable, I could make a card's power level defined by its number, right? And then this kept the game really balanced and fair, because we don't necessarily put out better cards. We just put different versions of the strongest card numbers out there. And people loved this idea, because they could have a starter deck and they could play against somebody that had other cards, and they were still on an even playing field. And a lot of the customization for the game came from different characters. And the fact that we were creating a product that you didn't have to spend a lot of money on to play competitively really set us apart. Now, don't get me wrong. We're here for 10 years now. We have a ton of stuff. If you want to collect everything we have, you could have a second mortgage to play Super Show the game. But you absolutely can. But people know that they don't need that to walk into a tournament and be a part of a great experience. And what I found is, if you treat customers right, you focus on the community, and you give them an avenue to collect, the people that want to support you will support you. You know, we don't have where you need 5 versions of each card to collect. You only need 1, but then people will spend their money to commission cards, or they'll buy apparel and they'll buy characters. And we found that we were able to do something a little different and stick to the core principles of a game that you didn't have to spend a ton of money every 3 months to be relevant in. And it really worked out well.
I have a follow-up question on the community building, because that's something you did brilliantly. Like in the pre-interview, you mentioned about you do this local in-person event once a year that 100 people show up. Can we kind of dive into the community building aspect of it? Because that's something a lot of publisher I talk to or interview on the show, they struggle with community building. They are good at as a designer, but building a community is a whole different skill set that not everyone have. So can you kind of share about like first the event? How do you put that together? Who is like, how do you even get 100 people into the room to begin with? That in itself is a task. And what is the logistic behind getting an event put together like that you did?
It took a lot of work. Huge shout out to my business partner, General Manager John Calais, as we call him, and everybody that went involved, from our streamers to our photographers to wrestling talent. The reason why I think Super Show was so successful is we had a really great balance of competition and fun environment. And on our Kickstarters, we always stress that we're community first and competition second. I love that competition is really fierce, but at the end of the day, when you walk into a Super Show event, we want you to be able to pretend you're a wrestler, get involved, have fun, and make sure that that is your main focus. I mean, I would joke with people and stand on a chair and say, if you want to be a tryhard and ruin somebody's fun, go play Magic the Gathering for this weekend. We're here to have a good time. So I think people really gravitated towards that. And we would always stress what we called play it forward, right? And a lot of times people would buy starter decks and they get 2 copies of decks, and I would like, just give it to a friend. Somebody has something, trade it. And this aspect of the game really built our community and forged incredible bonds. Before I get into the logistics of the show, I can't stress enough that I am so fortunate to have this as my job for 10 years. We designed a great product, but there is nothing that I'm more proud of than the community. What I've seen them do for each other, some things very public, something on the down low, but these guys and girls are so tight knit, and at the end of the day, they come together on another level. And it's amazing to see with social media, people are at each other's weddings, graduations, some big event happens, and they'll have 150 interactions. And I'm looking through it and being like, I cannot believe that these people met through Super Show and they all come out to support each other, So our biggest event of the year, we do a few at conventions, and we do a couple private events. One of them, we do an award show in Rhode Island. It's called Captain Con. We get a private room. This one is called Grand Gathering. We've done it 6 years running, including virtually during COVID.
I see.
We rent a hotel. We have advertised tournaments, which include a battle royal. So this year we had 98 people playing at the same time until one person was less, like Royal Rumble style. We have tag team tournaments. It's a blast. I can't really do it justice unless you're there and see some of the videos. We bring in special guests that are real wrestlers or people that are important to our community. People get entrances just like real wrestlers, where they walk through a curtain with theme music and the cameras and everything are going. They have title belts and promos. Like I said, we had over 100 guests this year. Our tournaments had, 80 to 100 people in each event that we ran throughout the weekend. We did wrestlers. So we had some really amazing moments. We had Sami Callihan, who's a huge wrestler who hasn't been in our building for 6 years, show up. That was a great surprise. We had a guy by the name of Chris Bay. What an incredible story. He was paralyzed in the ring for several months. And through physical therapy, he is able to walk and maybe eventually perform again. And in one of his first public appearances outside of the companies that he worked for, he showed up as a surprise guest. And if that wasn't just an incredible moment to see Chris Bay on his feet, walking, dancing, hanging out, playing, it was really, really special. And that's the types of things that we do at our events. We try to make these events really special, where you get to interact with wrestlers and other community members. And when we're at capacity of a location, to me, the surprise aspects are way more important. Those genuine shock moments than advertising somebody to try to sell a couple extra tickets. So every year we have some great surprises. And this year, Chris Bay not only walked into the building, he did a little shimmy dance to show how he was feeling. He stayed for a couple days, learned how to play Super Show with everybody. It was a really, really magical moment. And those are sort of the things that we bring to the table beyond just playing wrestling cards and dice. A lot of work goes into it. It's probably very difficult to describe the amount of work, because obviously there's coordinating the hotels and the room blocks and the logistics of the products that are going to come out and ship. And then, making a schedule of events and a schedule of surprises. But to create an environment in a trading card industry where people want to be there for the next event is a full-time job. it is very hard to capture
Yeah,
people's
it is.
attention and want to keep them emotionally invested. So we
Mhm.
make sure that we're very hands-on. We
Yes.
do streams weekly, we have online events, we have in-person events. We really do everything that we can to kind
Mm,
of offer you something to do throughout the year, whether it's online play in tournaments or competitions where you can win a character that lasts for several months. We really try to give you something that is
mm,
not just entertainment that you could do at your kitchen table, but something that you could be a part of year round. And through having title belts and streams and competitions, we really try to show our appreciation for the people that go above and beyond to make this so important to them. And when you connect with your fans and you give them an opportunity to feel that they're valued and the things that they're putting in deserve attention and spotlight, people are pretty eager to come be a part of what you're doing. We're not just trying to be a competitive environment where we have these huge tournaments and our top players go toe to toe, which we also had. We are really trying to create these special moments where we forge a bond between the players and the people we brought in. And
mhm,
it was amazing. Like I said, this is our sixth one. The first one ever was just so iconic. But I'd say the
mhm,
overall consensus was this was the best event we had ever put on ever. And to
mhm.
be able to go for 6 years strong and people think that this is getting better than ever when a lot of games aren't even around for a couple years, let alone six. It was really amazing to be a part of.
Mhm. I see, I see. And I think over the year, you obviously have tried a lot of different strategy to grow your publishing company. Besides having that amazing event that you do, what other strategy or channel that has been working well for you and you?
The most important thing I feel for our brand is being true to who we are. And that is, we are a smaller company that stays very connected with the fan base. I
Mhm,
run the daily shipping out of my own house. I'm in my basement right now. We have a team of people who help me ship and process orders every day. I make
mhm,
sure that the products that we design are sticking to the early principles of keeping the game balanced and fair. We don't really
mhm,
try to just put something really good out and then have to ban it immediately. Obviously, things fall through playtesting, but I think the
mhm,
fact that we're so hands on and we actually care about our customer service and our player base and our community is something that people really love because they don't not only get a great product, they get a great experience. Things that have
mhm,
worked for us is I'm always looking to collaborate with people, whether it's
mm,
new artists or new wrestling programs or somebody who does a stream or makes
yeah.
music or as a service. I like to use my platform to help others and in turn that helps us grow.
Mhm,
So what we've really done is legitimate grassroots movements. You'd be very surprised to learn how little we've spent on major marketing and advertisement through our lives. We almost do
mhm,
zero Facebook ads, zero social media ads. Most of our money spent is attending shows that we're a part of to buy space and get people
I
in
see.
there. So those are the things that really work for us. That's being there in person, connecting with people one on one, and really
Mm.
trying to build something that lasts rather than a quick sale and move on to the next product.
I see, I see, I see. Yeah, that's almost against the conventional wisdom about running meta ads. So that's kind of what everyone in the industry kind of is their first go-to when they are trying to do marketings for the toys or brand product or game product that they have.
We
Hmm.
would love to do it, but the thing is, a lot of stuff we print locally, we print locally and overseas. And for us, the money is, more well spent for us ensuring that our grand gathering goes really well. Where somebody
Yeah,
else might invest several $1,000s in ad space, we're investing that in renting out a location for the weekend and bringing in
yeah.
guests and camera crews and all that stuff. So in a world
Mhm,
where your finances are finite, we really make sure that the money that we're spending is things that we could be hands on with and that people are experiencing, our company on a one-to-one basis until we can't handle it anymore. At some point
mhm,
we're going to be too big for me to interact with every customer that comes in through the website
mhm,
and stuff. And that's a great problem to have. But for right now, we're not trying to make us bigger than what we can handle. I think we're really
mhm,
realistic about where we're at and, the
mhm.
rate of growth that we have. And I think that that's really important for the longevity.
And I think one thing your team does excellent, extremely well, and kudos to your team is the type of energy that your booths have compared to all the other booths around you is like whole different level. There's people shouting, people like hitting the rings, and people just like generally exciting when they're playing the games. And you almost feel like you're actually sitting in the wrestling rings when you're playing the games. And your team does an excellent job at actually
And
at
thank
different
you. And
events to kind of recreate that whole environment, the energy, and really make people excited. Oh, whoa, I'm actually like a wrestler here, not just playing games.
if you're one of our neighbors at a booth, you're either going to love us for the energy and the excitement we bring, or you're going to hate us for the noise that we create. I mean, it's been about 80-20, but for the most part, we've definitely gotten noise complaints and issues. As a kid, I mentioned Raw Deal. It was my favorite game, but Raw Deal was not fun. I mean, it was an incredibly strategic game. I would almost call it to like chess level. It was very, very detailed in the cards you play and the moves you make. You could have 2-3 hour games. I mean, this was not something you were laughing and joking and smiling about. And one of the things that led to my designing Super Show the way I did and building the SRG brand is that these conventions for me are a vacation. I mean, now they're intertwined with work, but going to play games should be a fun experience. You know, I got to a point in my life where I do enjoy competition, but I didn't want that to be the underlining factor of when I spent money to go away for a week. I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to see like I would get together with a group of people. And one of the things I would compare the difference between our games and other games is when you have other games, it's so competitive that some of the people in the room are like your adversaries, right? You know, you have a deck strategy, you don't talk about it, you don't want anybody to know what's going on. And I noticed that like the people I would travel with to these gaming events, it was just my circle. And then like everybody else we like minimally interacted with. We want everyone playing to interact with each other and have a good time.
Yeah, that's important.
And so many people echo what you say and they say, listen, we look at your play area and people are laughing, they're shouting and they have a good time. And I always think, is that not the point of all of this? You know, we're a bunch of people sitting there playing board games and card games, right? I feel like that is what we're here for. Let's just kind of let loose and have some
make it
fun.
social.
Life is so crazy. It's so stressful. Like I don't need to be traveling to a vacation where the amount of fun I have is solely determined on my win-loss record, you know? So we have events where you get more prizes for losing, right? I say you get a promo card of your choice for each loss. And in wrestling, one of the things backstage, you know, wrestling is a scripted event and the winner always gets all the credit. But what's called wrestling, the loser is called the jobber. And the jobber is so important to a successful wrestling show because it's their role to make the winner look good. And you can't have a superstar if the jobber isn't there and doing their role. So I often say that the jobbers are more important than the winners in our event. So we try to make sure that you get a lot of stuff. We celebrate. If somebody goes 0-5, we get on the mic. We say they have a perfect record. Everybody cheers for them. You know, it's just, it makes you feel good. We even give an award for Jobber of the Year each year. You know, it's almost like a badge of honor. So it's a really great environment. And it's really amazing to hear other professionals in the industry really shout us out and look at us for like, that's what we want our booths and our products to be like.
I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So as well, kind of winding down on today's interview, if you just have to share one piece of advice with someone that's getting started within the toys and game industry, what would that be?
Work on your goals every single day. You know, there's always time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You just have to continue working on what you want. And routine is so important on what you do. And the more you do it and the more you connect with people, the larger things will grow. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, but it will not happen at all if you're not putting in the work and the effort. So I would say the best piece of advice is work every single day. Second best, honorable mention, there was a great wrestler. His name is CM Punk. He gave me couple bits of advice that I'll never forget. One of them is not how much money you make, it's how much money you save. So if you're going to look to start a business, you got to put yourself in a position where you have extra money to save and invest. If I didn't save up a little bit of money to make card art, I would never have this. And it wasn't a lot of money. It was maybe $500-$600 in the early stages. But because I had that and could give somebody a contract, it was vital. And the second bit of advice that he gave is that hard work plus talent will always trump just talent. So it goes back to what I said. You could be good at something, but if you don't dedicate your time to it, it's never going to pan off. You don't really get anywhere just on talent alone. So I would say that those are really good pieces of advice for you.
I see. I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. And for our audience that's interested to learn about SRG Universe and all the different games that your company offer, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Supershowthegame.com is our main website. We do have other products that we've created that we're really proud of. We have Rummy Gummies, which is a family game that my oldest daughter had helped me come up with. That plays like Rummy Cube or Gin Rummy with gummy worm effects that kind of act like Uno cards. We also created a project called Scally Wager, which is a liar's dice themed game with a board game element. Those are all available on our websites. Thanks to Toy Launch and the things that you guys offer, you can find Rummy Gummies on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
So we're really excited for that. And then social media, SRG Universe. We have an amazing Twitch channel. We do live shows where we talk about card design. We do events where if you have a webcam, you could play the house and win free cards. We do scheduled matches on Sunday, which are storyline like real wrestling. The Twitch page is great. Yeah, and we also have Instagram, Twitter. These are all based off SRG Universe, where you could find us there.
I see. I know your team does a lot for social media. That's a lot of content to pop out. Are you the main one that's running all the social media right now?
I would say, in short, yes. I do have a great team. Brian Schmidt does a lot of our streaming. A great friend of mine, Chris Pagillo, we called me Italian Bombata. He does a lot of the tweets on Twitter. We do have a lot of content that we provide, but as I mentioned, we're a small company and we do a great job of making content. We don't do a great job of getting it out to the world outside of our existing circles. As I mentioned, we're very, very grassroots. We're providing amazing stuff for the people that know about us. And we're just little by little do the things we do, both as a company selling games, but for the things we do in our community, hoping that our reach expands, organically, little by little.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your story with our audience on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, Jason.
And for our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I hope today's conversation give you some practical insight and fresh inspiration for growing your own toys or game companies. This podcast is sponsored by Toy Launch, a leading marketing and growth partner for toys and game company. At Toy Launch, we help brands scale on Amazon and beyond through full service account management, PPC, SEO, creative, and we also recently launched our brand new TikTok management services. If you are looking for a proven team that understands both the toys and game industry and e-commerce marketing, we are here to help. Feel free to schedule a free consultation session with us. Just visit toy-launch.com for more information. If you want to connect with other fellow toys and game founders, join our brand new communities, Toys and Game Launchpad. You can find more information also on our homepage. And for more resource updates and industry insight, we're also publishing a weekly webinar as well on top of the podcast. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.